Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Well, let's take a look at some of the stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Lizzie Burden with Caroline Hepker, and we're joined by Bloomberg's equities reporter, Joe Easton. Joe, markets, as Caroline says, reacting to last night's big news, which came through just after midnight, President Trump's global tariff plan being ruled illegal. Where are you seeing the biggest reaction when it comes to companies that produce abroad?
Yeah, so the interesting sector I was looking at was the consumer sector. So companies like Adidas, Puma, anyone that makes a lot of clothing. A lot of that production is done over in Asia, specifically Vietnam. So Adidas has big production over there. And you remember back in April when Trump initially announced all his tariffs, he actually slapped a 46% rate on Vietnam. So those stocks were hit hard. It kind of, some of that was slightly watered down later on in the following week. So some of those stocks had recovered somewhat. But we are seeing Adidas today up 3.5%, Puma gaining 3% as well. Unfortunately, some of the other markets are closed, like Denmark, etc. So we would probably see a reaction in Pandora. They make a lot of jewellery over in Asia as well. So we'll have to wait a couple more days for that reaction. But seeing some movement in Adidas in particular.
Okay. And then in terms of luxury investors, reaction, it could obviously be good news for them. Fewer tariffs. It's one of the big exports out of Europe, along with cars and lots of other things. But the luxury market is a big seller over in the US.
Yeah, so luxury, again, it's another sector that was really hit by the tariffs over the past year, really, since it kind of came clear that Trump would get into office. So we are seeing a bit of a move higher today in the likes of Burberry. That one is up almost 3%. Moncler gaining 2.4%. LVMH gaining around 2% as well. Interesting, because we've actually got a story out as well around LVMH warning Chinese customers curtailing travel, and therefore that is hitting their sales in terms of Chinese travellers going abroad, spending lots of money on fancy luxury goods, and therefore they've actually got a bit of a warning out on that basis. But this news on the tariffs kind of counteracting all of that, and all of that getting ignored, the weaker demand side actually not getting the focus that it would normally do if it wasn't for this tariff ruling over in the US from the courts, and therefore luxury really green today, all of those stocks moving higher. LVMH, as I say, up 2%.
But meanwhile, Joe, Auto Trader down 10%. What's behind that?
Yeah, so Auto Trade, obviously, this was the chunky magazine that used to arrive on our doorsteps back in the day. But now it is, of course, mainly just a website. But really interesting for me, because the used car market is doing really well at the moment. So used cars actually absolutely booming. But this means that car dealers actually have less of a need to advertise on Auto Trader. So Auto Trader have put out a profit warning and missed on their quarterly sales as well. As you say, the stock down 12%. I'm going to check very quickly. That is the biggest move since 2016. Well, it would be if it holds that loss. At least 5 years, sort of pandemic era drop for that one. So that is the worst performer on the stock 600. But I just find it interesting that a really buoyant used car market is negative for Auto Trader. It's kind of an interesting angle on that one.
Yeah, that is unusual, isn't it? But it is a big stock mover this morning.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.